Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the AMJ channel. It's great to have you here. Okay, and with all the news of 331 coming out, 330 that dog card coming out, UFC Noche, which is actually on my birthday. Fun fact. Coming out. I've decided today to not talk about any of that. Okay, because we got predictions to make. Okay, we got a slop Apex card because we here at the AMG channel love the Apex. Um, okay, I'm stop harping. Okay, I can honestly hate this card. Okay, except for one fight, I'll get into that. But I really want to talk about the fights. My goat Charles getting robbed. Well, he put out, but still okay. Anyways, I'm gonna help myself. I'm probably make a video on that um soon. I don't know when. Okay, look, I'll just do it this whenever I can. Okay, but anyways, let's get actually into the actual prediction. Stop yapping. And first up, we got Quillan Salkilld, the main event, versus Mateusz Gamrot. Now, Gamrot coming off of a pretty dominant win, um, and a loss to Charles, while Quillan Salkilld is coming off of a KO victory against Benil Dariush. Now, Mateusz Gamrot. Now, here's the thing, okay? I think that, okay, Mateusz Gamrot is still a very good vet, okay? He's 35, yes, he's old. Yes, his bones may be turning to dust, but he's still a very good fighter, and he showed levels in his last fight on the feet and on the ground. You know, he's a very good grappler. Okay, people sometimes take it away from him. But on the other hand, Quillan Salkilld is also a pretty underrated grappler. You know, he can use his offensive wrestling pretty good, but that also leads to people having questions about his gas tank. Because whenever so against Bill Neil Dariush, he did have some trouble. Okay, watch back that fight. You know, um, the some people really forget they only watch the highlight, but Quinn Hall could have some good grappling defense and some good offense, you know, but he gets cast out whenever he tries to use his all wrestling offense, you know. But you know, obviously, even with that, he still got a KO. Now here's the thing. Quillan Salkilld, I think, will be shown levels here. Okay, because Mateusz Gamrot, is he chinny? Kind of, okay. Has he ever been KO'd? No. What does that tell me? That Gamrot, I think, is one of those cases where you could tell that he's chinny, okay? By looking at him, first of all, and by just by the fact that he's been dropped in basically every single fight. Now, does getting dropped in every single fight make you a bad fighter? I don't really think so, necessarily. Here's the thing. On lockdown, it's just whenever someone hits someone and they go down, you know? It's happened against Charles like a million times. Yes, my go Charles. But I think Mateusz Gamrot is from one of the people who kind of relies on his grappling. So whenever he does get hit, maybe in a bit of danger, maybe he gets rocked, he will like go for the grappling. Now, I will pick Mateusz Gamrot to win this. Okay, I think that he'll show Quillan Salkilld some levels to this. Okay, Salkilld. Okay, here's the only thing that will happen if. Here's the only thing where I'm kind of iffy if Gamrot will win. If Quillan Salkilld doesn't use any of his offensive wrestling, which I think he might, that he will, and they say that range, he will knock out Mateusz Gamrot. But if Salkilld does go for the wrestling and Gamrot responds, I think that Gamrot will win, will tire him out, and won't get the decision. Okay, and people, and like I think it will still be pretty competitive. Okay, because people like to look at Quillan Salkilld or like any fighter really, and I turn them kind of one dimensional. You know, Quillan Salkilld a striker, Mateusz Gamrot, uh, a grappler. You know, and they did. And like it's not really that, you know. Quillan Salkilld does have some great offensive wrestling, you know. And people are like handing off to Quillan because like, oh, he knocked out Benil Dariush. It's 2026. The year of our Lord 2026, okay? Theory, and he knocked out Benil Dariush, and we're still giving him credit for that? Come on, y'all. We've seen the memes, you know, my grandma's dying breath can knock out Benil Dariush. I'm getting to Mateusz Gamrot. Um I'm yapping too much. Anyways, the co-main event. Now you know that this is a peak Apex card when this is the main event. Biddy Q versus Diego Ferreira. Okay, Biddy Q just came off. Not came off. It's 2 years ago. Literally 2 years ago. of being absolutely like killed by Cub Swanson. And I made a video about that, by the way, my last video. Shameless plug. Shameless plug aside. It's and Diego Ferreira came off with 2 losses. Okay, now here's the thing. These guys are old and inactive, and that's like the true worst thing that you can be. Okay, bit of Q a little bit less, but he still hasn't fought in over 2 years since the Cub Swanson fight. Diego Ferreira he did have a fight last year, but obviously haven't fought since, and it's 41. And these guys aren't getting like, better with age, to be honest. And I think that alongside they're not fighting as much. May take off some of like the fighting power, some of what they have left or whatever. Okay, but when you look back at the Cub Swanson fight, Billy does not look that bad. Okay, he absorbed some good shots from Cub. He put some heavy hands, some good volume on Cub Swanson in the first round. Arguably took the first round. Um, Even though he got signed out. But anyways, but Diego Ferreira in his last few fights hasn't been looking as good. And then that's kind of what you expect. Pereira is kind of like the one of those unks. Maybe he'll pull off Unk So Got It. But I think I'll give the Unk So Got It moment to Billy and Q. Ferreira has been looking slower, has not been doing as good as recently, has been inactive. I'll give it out to Billy Q. Um, Anyways, next up we got Darren Elkins versus Yadir Del Val. This I don't know what the UFC is doing. Okay, I don't know if the UFC is like hosting a fight night. Do you know where the next fight night will happen? Next fight night will happen in like a retirement home. Okay, look at this fight. Okay, Darren Elkins is 42 years old. Okay, just came off of a very bad loss. And Yadir, oh, Yadir Dalval. I don't know how to say it. Let's just say Dalval. It's coming off of the last two. But he's only 30 years old, and this is his first loss. I think they will be able to learn. And I feel bad for Darren Elkins, because I feel like people don't appreciate journeymen as much. We all look at the champions, we all like love the champions, whatever. We don't look under them, okay, or even under like the top 10, whatever. Fuck it, below the top 15, we don't really look at that. But Darren Elkins has been in the game for so long, okay. He's giving us some great fights. Whenever you see him in the prelims, you tune in to watch his fights. He does have kind of a dumb tattoo that he probably regrets now. I don't know when he got that tattoo. Oh my god. Anyways, and again, it's clear that the fighting has got to him. Watch some of his interviews. It genuinely makes me sad. But I do think that Yadir Delval will get the win. They'll probably be Darren Elkins' last fight, hopefully. Because honestly, I don't know why they're doing this. I feel like he should have just retired from since his last fight. Maybe you'll try some Uncle Ghana moments. I mean, he is a good wrestler, so I'll give him that. He's not terrible on the feet either. But I just think that Yadir Duvall is a pretty good fighter, younger, and has a better chance. I'll give Yadir by KO. Sadly, I will be rooting for Darren Elkins. This will be one of the greatest moments if Darren Elkins wins. Look at the odds. But I'm giving it to Yadir Duvall. Anyway, next up, we got Amanda Limos versus Alexia Zinanara. Now, Amanda Limos is coming off of two, um, sorry, is coming off of 2 losses where she got dominated by wrestlers. She basically got laid on top of Alexia. I mean, sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. Alexia is coming off of wins where she's mainly a grappler. Amazing matchmaking, amazing choice. Amanda Limos is another aunt, I guess. Like she looks old. It kind of shows her age. Not being offensive, not trying to offend her or anything, but it does show her age. Alexina has some crazy hair. Um, she has different color of shit in her hair. Um, but overall, I think that this is not very. I'm not gonna spend too much time. I'm not gonna be a LARP, try to be like analytical or anything. I think Tina Nara is going to take Amanda Lemos down, to a decision. And Alexander Zarnia, she has some suspect defense. Amanda Lemos can't catch her probably, but um, I just think that with like it's almost an 11-year age gap. I think that actually Zarnia will see Anara. We'll get this. We'll get the decision. Um. Anyways, next up, we got Time Miller versus Betty Ray Goff. Now, Time Miller is a very good fundamental not grappler. Boxing has a good wrestling defense. Has is overall like a steady fighter. You know, he has good fundamentals. Betty Ray Goff, like look at Betty Ray Goff. Okay, imagine you just got like a trial membership at your local boxing gym. You know, you go in there, you're like so excited to fight, and then you see this guy, and you're like, oh my goodness, maybe I should go back to being a DoorDash driver. You know, this is not for me if this guy's in the gym. But even though he looks like a good MMA fighter, I do not think he's that good. Okay, he's coming off of 2 losses. Um, and a loss where okay, I'm gonna just go off on a little bit of a tangent. The scorecards, okay, for that loss was pretty sure unanimous decision. His second or last two lost, whatever. Is to unanimous decision, 30-27, where Billy Ray Goff outstruck his opponent and got more control time, but still lost. Okay, how is that even possible? I don't have Fight Pass because I'm too cheap. I couldn't find it anywhere legally on the internet. Um, how is that even possible? So Betty Ray Goff, sorry, you look hard. You look like a roided up white boy Carl. I'm going with Ty Miller via decision. A very good fundamental boxing. I think that he'll get the win. Sorry, Betty Ray Goff. Anyways, next up, we got the GOAT. Seven? Steven Aspeland versus come on, I spell all these wrong. Guillermo Pat. No, we love Guillermo Pat. Okay, look at him. He's a heavyweight with abs. You know, and this is another analogy for what you just said, you know, that if you walked into your local MMA gym, kickboxing gym, whatever, this guy working on pads, you might just like give up. You might go back to eating your Pringles on the couch. Okay, but he's not that good of a fighter. He has some good power. Okay, but we never see it. Okay, he would have good power if he ever saw it. Okay, and does Steven Aspen is Steven Aspen fat? Yes. Does he have very loose hair or very loose skin? Yes. Does he have a bunch of hair on his chest where he doesn't even need the tattoo? He could just shave the tattoo on him. Yes. Do we still love him? Yes. Okay. Does he have zero grappling? Yes. Okay. I think that even if you like took him to like a high school wrestling team, that he would cry. You know, that he would just like seeing a mat will make him break down. But we still love him for it. Crazy power, you know. And I think he'll get it. He'll get the KO win over Guillermo. You know, and I saw a video where they were like, oh, no way that people really call him an athlete. He was 520 pounds and lost almost half of it, or basically half of it. I don't think though. But anyways, he lost half of it. And you're saying that he's not an athlete? Fuck you. How about that? Okay? This is our GOAT, okay? Our GOAT here at the AMJ channel. Steven Aspin, this is the main event in my heart, in my mind, you know. No one is, you know, fuck Quillan Salkilld, fuck the Mateusz Gamrot, Steven Aspin, we love you. Anyways, next up we got Dr. Nergaze, sorry, I don't know how to say his name, and Bruno Lopez. Now, this is a fight of all time. You know, these are some fighters of all time. Nergaze coming off of a win at 329, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not wrong. And Bruno Lopez coming off of two pretty bad losses to Jacoby Smith and Navajo Sterling. Now, Bruno Lopez, okay, is an okay fighter, okay? He does have some strange tattoos. Diego Nergaze does look a bit special. Maybe. Oh my god, he's looking strange to my soul. I don't like this. Anyways, um, what I'm saying is that I think like Bruno Lopez is the kind of guy which you get knocked out and beaten by a pedal-fisted opponent. Okay, and because he is. Okay, Navajo Sterling knocked him out. Jacoby Smith threw a jab and he got knocked out. Okay, um, he's the kind of guy to knock on your door. He's kind of like Uber driver to come to your door, knock on your door. Just say, "Hey, do you? Hey, here's your food, whatever." You hand him his change. You say goodbye. He gets knocked out stiff. Okay, which is why I'm going with Dr. Nergase by KO. Um, the only way I see Bruno Lopez winning is if the Nergase somehow for some reason goes for a takedown. You might be thinking like, why would that? Because he got Kimura and Ezekiel choked. Yes, Ezekiel choked in his last two fights or his last two wins. I can't speak. His last two losses. Okay, like how does that even happen, bro? Anyways, is Nergase he just stays on the feet, just does not even think about jiu-jitsu, okay? Just like he's probably never used jiu-jitsu to be honest. He's probably never put on a gi, and that's probably why, okay? But I think that he can't get his win if he just does not do any wrestling, does not do any jiu-jitsu. Anyways, next fight we have Jose Montana versus Louis Sutherland. Now Jose Montana, I cannot find anything about him, okay? On like ESPN, they don't even have a photo. This is the only photo I can find of him. Okay, and he does look ripped. He has abs. He has some gyno. Have your suspicions, but also he's not a good fighter. Okay, there's so many people like that on this card that look like good fighters, but probably aren't. Jose Montana is one of them because like he's pretty buff for heavyweight. Okay, but if you look back at his record, okay, I think he went outside, okay, in his favela, whatever, paid a guy to fight him, knocked him out, and then put that in his record. He's fighting plumbers, and he lost to one of them by decision. Um, Overall, I think that, and like Louis Sutherland, as much shit as people give him, as much as he is fat, as much as he does have moves, what I just said about Steven Asplund earlier. That can literally apply to Louis Sutherland. But people don't question him because he's like so fat. Okay, look at him. As much shit people give him, he does have pretty good anti grappling. He does have good hands. As yeah, and if given the opportunity, to like tire it out his opponent, I think that Louis Sutherland can win this and will win this. Okay, did he lose to Walter Walker? Yes. Does Walter Walker only heel hook fat people? Yes. Is Louis Sutherland fat? Yes. But Jose Montana is not Walter Walker. I think Louis Sutherland gets this by KO. Oh my goodness, look at those moves, bro. Anyways, next up we have Manuel Souza versus Richie Miranda. Okay, and people are treating this fight in like Hitler versus Stalin. Okay, like the Second World War. The Russian War, whatever you want to say. Okay, Manuel Souza does have crazy knockout power. He does have good knockout power, but if you look at the last two fights, okay, on the Contender Series and on his first debut, he loses like most of the rounds. He loses the first and second round. There is some argument there, but arguably he does lose like 0-2. But then he comes out in the third round and just knocks his opponent out like out of nowhere. And he's one of those fighters. Like I don't want to compare him to Marlon Chito Vera because I think he's more of a fluke artist. But he's like a crazy. He is a bit of a fluke artist where he can tank like hits, and survive and be competitive at least, but still lose a round. But then out of nowhere, just like knock out his opponents. Richie Miranda, second of a coming of Christ according to MMA Twitter. And to be fair, this is one of the more compelling fights. It does seem like it'll be interesting. It's in the lightweight division, But they prop him up to be like, yeah, literally second coming Christ, okay? That he will reign upon the lightweight, you know. But to be honest, he's okay. Okay, in his last LFA fight, like his opponent, is this another one where like the opponent won the first round, okay? But I think he might got too overconfident, got hit with a check left hook to put him out. Richard Miranda, oh my goodness, Miranda. I think it's just an okay fighter. That's why I'll go Manuel Souza to win this. Probably by KO, if anything. Do I think there'll be another one where Manuel Souza will lose the first two rounds and then get the knockout? Yes. But I think that Manuel Souza wins the first two rounds and Richie Miranda will KO him. But anyways, I'm more leaning on Manuel Souza. So by KO. Anyways, next up, we got Miles Johns. I forgot to put the S versus Jesse Rosas. Now, is Miles John coming off of three losses? Yes. Did he make those three losses competitive though? Yes. Okay, he did lose to someone who like has never finished a fight ever. But it doesn't matter, okay? We still love Miles John. He has one of the baldest heads ever. And oh my god, geez, DC would be jealous, bro. Yeah, they kind of look like if they put like a baby's head and put him a baby's head with a beard on a human head. Yes, but but we gotta look at his opponent. Okay, Jesse Rosas. Okay, he has beaten cans. Okay, he has come out of a 3-fight win streak, but he has been fighting cans on the regional scenes. And you might be thinking like, well, how is this possible? Why is he even getting a shot? Because he's pretty sure brothers of realized terrorists of the sport, Raul Rosas Jr. Um, and like if you look back at his fights, I did the math on this. His last three wins, the combined record of all those guys, I'm pretty sure it's like 35-30. He fought like one guy with a positive record. So, not the best. So I think Miles John will show him UFC levels. You know, I think there is a very clear grappling game. Okay, first of all, okay, I'm gonna Miles John's gonna win this, probably through decision. I think there's a very clear grappling game. For Miles John, I don't know if he'll go for it, but either way, I think that Miles John is just better all around. Jesse Rosas is a nepo baby, maybe future video incoming. I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyways, next up, you got Juliana Miller versus Raverna Oliveira. How are you an underdog against Julia Miller? Okay, I want people to. Okay, Raverna Oliveira has not won a single fight in the UFC. Julia Miller is 4-4 currently, and only, she's still she's still the favorite. How are you? I'm going with Julia Miller. I don't care. She doesn't know how to box. She can't throw a kick to save her life. Good BJJ though. Like she has some amazing BJJ. I will give her that. But aside from that, she's terrible on the feet. And Rivera Oliveira, like, is also terrible. Okay, she has no defense. Um, she's an underdog against Julia Miller. Julia Miller's not good at all. How are you underdog against her? Anyways, I do think that Julia Miller will get this. No more questions about it. Okay, moving on to the next fight, which I actually don't have a side for. Sorry. I think this must have been the last edition because I couldn't find anything about this. But it's between two girls. I'll put up the girl who I think will win because I forgot her name, low key. I saw one of her fights. I'm pretty sure she looks good. And I also watched another video about this, another breakdown about it, and they chose him or her. So low key, I'm a fraud. I'm larping, and yeah. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that will do it for today. Um, Thank you so much for getting to the end. Hit the like, subscribe button, and if you also like Apex cards, because we like to NARP Apex cards, hit the subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. Um, go look at my other videos I've made. Thanks so much. Follow my Instagram at AMJ, my TikTok at AMJ. It's all AMJ. See you. See you next time.